Hello everyone, this is the Adafruit CircuitPython Weekly for June 18th, 2018. I'm Scott and I work on CircuitPython on the behalf of Adafruit, along with a couple other folks in this chat. This is a chance for us to all get together and talk about all things CircuitPython, whether it's core development or whether it's projects that we're working on. We meet once a week, Mondays, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, on our Discord to chat about all things CircuitPython. Everybody is welcome. Just hop in our Discord voice channel during that time. If you want to hop in our Discord text chat, we're there all week, and you can do that with the URL adafru.it/discord. We'd love to see what projects you're working on or help you get started on CircuitPython development. Let's see. This meeting happens every week, and we do it in 4 parts. We start with a quick state of CircuitPython and the libraries. It's a stats-oriented overview of what's going on. It's based on a script that I run every night, or every night beforehand. We'll follow that up with hug reports, which is a chance for us to say thank you to people for the work that they've been doing in the community. And then after we do hug reports, hug reports happens in a way as a round robin. So I will start, and then I'll call on people who are not lurking in the text chat, give them a chance to speak as well. And then after hug reports, we'll do status updates, which is just what you're working on, both what you did in the last week and what you plan on doing in the next week. It's a good chance to synchronize and coordinate on stuff. And then lastly, we have an in the weeds section, which is a chance to just talk about anything that warranted more discussion than we wanted to fit into the round robin format. This meeting is being recorded. It goes on YouTube right after the fact. I record the text chat as well to match along with it. And so if you miss it or whatever, want to see it later, check out the Adafruit YouTube at youtube.com/Adafruit. And along with that, there are notes with time codes. So if you hear me typing, I'm taking notes during the meeting. So I'll take a time code and jump into the state of CircuitPython. Over the last week, as of last night, we had 26 different pull requests merged, which is really good number. This encompasses the core CircuitPython, the libraries, the newsletter, the CircuitPython kernel for Jupyter is all incorporated in that. Shout outs to Microbuilder, Brent Rue, as newer contributors to that list. We had 6 reviewers and 6 authors. I don't think I said that. We had 6 new PRs from 3 different authors, R. Hooper, Carter Newson, and Willing C, which is awesome. Issues wise, we had 6 closed issues by 5 people and 9 opened by 7 people. So we're increasing the number of open issues, which is not the end of the world. We did a really good job of burning that list down in the last few weeks, and we'll get into that more later. We have 11 open pull requests, and we have 128 open issues across all our repos. If you want to see what those are, check out the stats or the notes after the meeting. Download stats for 3.0 beta 1, which was released a week ago. I think it was last Monday. 134 total downloads, which is pretty good, given that it's an unstable release. And that's the first week. The bulk of those were Metro M4, Feather M0 Express in the teens. And then downloads for 2.3.1, which is our current stable release, was up 469 in the last week, which is more than the previous week, which is exciting. So I think people are playing around with it. We have a list of stuff that could be improved in the libraries and the repos, but I won't go over that. Overall, we're turning the corner on the 3.0 release. Thanks to Dan, we've burned down the list to basically 0, and we're going to do a release candidate awfully soon here, probably today. The main development is now going to be focused on the next version, which is, yeah, 5 is about 0. And the next version, and we'll talk about more what the next version is a little bit later. So that's state of CircuitPython. Let's move on to the hug reports. I'll start. Hug reports are just a chance to say thank you to other folks. It functions to be nice to other people, but also reiterate to everyone what we value in our community. So I'll start. and take a time code. First, I want to say thank you to Dan Halbert, D. Halbert, for working through the last few 3.0 issues. I know there's a couple documentation ones that Jay Epler's pointing out, but the code-wise and the testing-wise, Dan's done a great job burning those down. Second, I want to say thank you to Deshipu, who's normally in the meeting but has another meeting currently, for the awesome foundation for the gaming with CircuitPython stuff. I've been playing around with it, and the stage and gamepad stuff is really a great place to start. So that's very exciting. And lastly, I want to say shout out to Paint Your Dragon, known as Phil B in Adafruit land, for the 8-bit parallel display driving experiments, trying to figure out how to output 8 bits and do a clock signal at the same time using the SAMD51. So he's done some really good work with that, and that's also in preparation for the gaming handheld that's coming in the future. So that's my hug report. So let's move on to Brent. I believe Brent is text only, so I'll read it off.
I'm not text only. I was kidding.
Oh, JK.
JK. So hug reports to Summersoft and Willing C. Summersoft did the honors of testing out my read the docs for the CircuitPython kernel on Windows, because I don't use Windows. And it was super useful, and it helped me edit the Learn Guide towards Windows, and to Willing C for CircuitPython kernel stuff.
Awesome.
For Jupyter.
That sounds great. Okay, Carter.
Group hug.
Group hug.
But with a capital U.
With a capital U? Which U?
Yeah, sure, why not?
The second U or the first U?
I
want to get it
both
correct.
Of them.
Okay. All right. C. Grover.
Yeah, group hug today.
Group hug. Normal capitalization?
Yeah, mostly uppercase. You can choose.
All right. I think I got it. Go ahead, Dan.
All right. Thank you, Scott, for being a sounding board several times when I was trying to fix a bunch of difficult bugs, and it helped me think through things and just have somebody to talk to about.
Mm-hmm. Always happy to help think about bugs. All right, Jay Epler. Hug reports to everyone who's reviewing pull requests. This is valuable work, but I think it is often underappreciated. Yes, definitely. And that's why I like to include who the reviewers are when enlisting the PR stats. Okay, Jerry?
Yeah, it's a group hug. Just suppose you spent the week watching while I was tied up with work all week. So nice to see all the activity, and now I'm trying to catch up, figure out what you guys have been doing.
I'm sure you will. Okay, Katni.
So I'm currently writing a guide that requires interaction from other people, and so I wanted to give a hug report to both Carter and Summersoft for being willing to very slowly work through 2 different pull requests. Summersoft put in code that required changes on purpose so that I could actually get screenshots of the whole process and get it all right. And so I wanted to say thank you to both of them for being willing to put in that extra work on something that could have taken literally 2 minutes and ended up taking much longer than that. So greatly appreciated. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Excited for that guide. All right, Nis. I'm gonna skip Mike.
Boy, I thought I was like way down the list for some reason.
Yeah, that's all right.
Good thing I took notes. I'll go backwards chronologically. Dave Estells for noticing that I have a 4th for the M4. Grays, Greys, for mentioning the capabilities of Wicked, which I didn't even know about. Dan and Lady Ada for assistance with forking CircuitPython. and Cater as well. And SJW New Jersey, I guess that would be NJ. For deep background on GitHub use, I actually did some branches yesterday, and
Ooh,
it works.
nice. Git is tricky, but it's super nice once you understand it.
Yeah, it was really interesting to see how it worked.
Okay. Just realized I should have my windows swapped, but it's too late. Looking at my notes causes me to face away from my microphone, which doesn't make sense. Okay, Noe. Just text today, group hug y'all. And a blinka. Okay, Roy.
My hugs are today are to, well, you and Dan for helping me figure out, and others for encouraging me during the debugging of my off by one bug. And I finally have gotten to the point where I can do a PR thanks to everyone's patience and help.
Mm-hmm. Those bugs are nasty.
Especially when they're really obvious.
All right. SDW has... Those are the worst ones. Those are the hardest to find, is the ones you can see right in front of you. Oops.
Yep. Yeah, they just sit there for weeks staring at you and you just miss them every time you look.
Nis, I can grab your notes later if you like. And Summersoft. Summersoft says, Katni for all the work she's putting in on the learning guides, Dan Halbert for the PR review and testing help, Roy for blinky speed improvements. I think the community will really appreciate this. Group hug for any and all that escaped me. And this got smacked down by Dino for a typo, I think. Okay, so now we're going to do status updates. Let me take a time code. Thank you all for the hug reports. Status updates are a very common software engineering thing, where everybody has a chance to talk about what they're working on and what they plan on working on in the next week. It's a great way to just get on the same page as people and coordinate effort if need be. I will copy Nis's stuff to his notes as well. Okay, so I'll start with status update. First and foremost, I released beta 1 last week, right before doing the newsletter. It's super solid. Haven't heard of any bugs with it, which is really good. And I plan on doing a release candidate probably today, actually, which is super exciting. But I'm jumping ahead. In general, I've been working on the gaming handheld and figuring out exactly where the work is with that and what the API should be. I started with Deshipu's work and have been expanding it. For example, I'm adding more flexible BMP loading based on what a pixel-based program AssetPrite exported, because I want it to be easy to edit the images and I don't want you to have to worry too much about the exact format of the image that you're loading. So I'm working on making that more flexible. I'm also working on adding more flexibility in terms of how big the actual screen is in terms of the math from the Python side. So the display I'm using is 320 by 240, but in practice, I think we want to treat it like it's 160 by 120. It aligns with the Pico 8 stuff and the Game Boy size and all that. So basically coming up with a way to take a pixel in and generate 4 pixels from it kind of dynamically instead of doing it on the fly, or instead of doing it always in memory. I also want to support 8x8 sprites. Right now, the code that Deshipu did is only 16 by 16 sprites. It'll save memory, and we'll be able to expand it out using that other code as well. more broadly, doing a lot of post 3.0 release planning, talking about gaming work, NRF 52840 work, and ESP32 support. So heads up, we'll be adding a lot of new issues along with new milestones to kind of organize this work. And then if everybody's okay, and we can talk about this in the discussion section as well, but I'm planning on doing release candidate and branching 3x off, so master will become 4x, and we'll do more invasive changes in 4x in the master branch soon enough. So let me just add that to the discussion section so we can just talk a little bit about 4x. And let's move on to Brent for status update.
Yeah, so past week I finished up a good amount of work on the Jupyter kernel. I'm going to do a screencast for it this week. I finished writing the Learn Guide.
Nice.
I'm waiting on one pull request from Willing C, and then I guess we can release it in 0.3. It's currently at 0.2, and that's because it's still really experimental.
Okay.
Scott gave me some good advice on moving cboard.py into it, which would definitely help out with the board handling.
Yeah.
I tested it on 3.0 beta 1, so that's as current as it's gotten on tests, and I'm looking forward to release candidate 1.
Sweet. And there's a link that I'll put in the notes. Thanks for the link. Links are always good. Okay, Carter.
Just chipping away at that HT16K33 repo. Submitted a PR for it, and we'll continue to do more little PRs in the future.
Little PRs are awesome. They're way easier to review than big PRs. So thanks for the work on that.
Yeah, I'd gotten to the point where pretty much nothing was the same, so I backed up. I'm going to do it one little step at a time.
Yeah, I tend to do that too, but it's easier for everybody if they're smaller. So thanks for taking the time to do that. All right, C. Grover.
Well, I finalized my MIDI micro synth project, and I've got some final PCBs to write for that. That's built on a kind of a trinket-like platform that I'm calling Rover. It uses the same pin outs and takes up so little space that it's really cool that it works. Anyway, all in CircuitPython, of course.
Awesome.
But I've been busy doing landscaping. But I was able to slide in a short CircuitPython project last night. I'm calling it the Blues Playground musical instrument. And it uses a circuit playground. It mimics various percussion instruments, and it also plays 12-bar blues chords. So no musical knowledge is needed. You just use a single tap feature, and it steps through the chords, or you can play the percussion instruments. And all you need to know is how to tap your foot to the 1, 2, 3, 4 beat pattern. So you can play the blues. Anybody can play the blues this way.
Do you have any videos?
I will. I just got it done last night, so it'll play over the built-in speaker or an external guitar amplifier. I have a demo I'll give you here real quick.
Okay.
I think it'll make a good learning experience for students, because it is a group activity, because it only plays one percussion instrument or plays the chords.
Right.
And you have to get 2 or 3 people together to have a jam session. But this is destined for a learning guide, and it'll include fabrication of a tambourine-like mounting board for it.
That's awesome.
So let me see if I can give you a sound here.
Okay.
Let's see. But here's some sampling of the percussion sounds. I don't know if you can hear that or not.
Yep.
And then more cowbell. And a vibra slap. So you can choose which of those instruments to play, and then if you just tap it, you can play that over and over, of course. And then the 12-bar blues chords. Right now I'm just using electronic piano sound that I had recorded, but let's see if we can step through this. Oh, of course it's not working. You know how demos work. Here we go. Anyway, that's how the little thing will work. I'll have a video something.
That sounds awesome.
Something you can do really quick and dirty with Circuit Playground, and it's just amazing how fast you can prototype these things.
That's awesome. I've loved to see all your projects. So that's very cool, and I look forward to having a video we can share around.
Yeah, I'll have something pretty soon.
Sweet. All right.
That's it.
Thank you.
More. I just have to haul more decorative rocks.
There'll be lots of pretty rocks. All right, go ahead, Dan.
So I fixed some things last week. I finally got PDM in, that is the MEMS microphones input, which is on the built-in microphone and the CPX. We also have some breakout for that microphone. So it was still, I put in a sort of a hack fix. It was hanging up all of CircuitPython, and so I put a hack fix in last week or the week before,
right?
And then I finally thought about it and finally figured out, I think, what was really the problem, and I put in what it seems to be the correct fix. So that's fixed. And then also there were several SD card bugs remaining in 3.0. One of them was probably more user problem. And then there were two problems. Let me just look up the main thing that I fixed was, let me just look at the exact fix. Okay, so there are two issues. One is that you could accidentally mount the SD card over a file or a directory with the same name. In Unix, you're supposed to do that, but the file system in CircuitPython doesn't really handle that, and it would get really confused and start breaking things and damaging the file system if you did that. So I put in a check for that. And then also os.lister, when you didn't give it any arguments, it did not print the mount point. And kind of the reason for all this is that in this MicroPython world, they don't tend to mount the base file system on / on the top of the file system. If you look on a MicroPython board, it actually has two mount points, /flash and /sd. And you can't create any files or anything under /. / is just for mount points. So I fixed that. And the underlying code is still not really great, but this will, maybe we can rework that at some point.
Yeah.
And then I did a bunch of testing yesterday to knock off, sort of do some final smoke testing on 3.0. So I agree that it should be ready. And the next thing to do is, that I would like to do is, there have been a lot of changes in MicroPython since we last merged from upstream, and I'm going to merge those in after 3.0, which should get us a bunch of bug fixes, which we may or may not notice, and also hopefully save some space, because Damien MicroPython has done some shrinking of various things, which might get us some space for stuff, especially on the smaller builds.
Right.
Okay.
Awesome. Thanks, Dan. Jay Epler says, trying to stay hydrated. I remain heads down on my day job, so my time for CircuitPython is limited. No problem. We understand people have day jobs and appreciate any time that you can give to the project, for sure. And do stay hydrated. I heard it's quite hot. That's what we've been talking about, weather, so I think that's what it's related to. Okay, Jerry?
Yeah, as I said, I'm just sort of getting back in the swing of things after being away most last week and traveling before that. So just trying to get my head around all the changes that have occurred, and I'll start breaking things again as soon as I can.
Thank you. Yeah, hammer on the release candidate that comes out today. And
yep. I'm just did a poll and getting caught up on things here too.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, Katni.
So last week I finished up a guide on rotary I/O. Ostensibly it's a rotary encoder guide, but currently the page and the code are designed around the newly added rotary I/O support. It's a simple thing. It's got just the test code, and then that just prints a number, and then it's also got it where it turns it into a volume knob and a play pause button for your computer. So that's fun. That should go live this week. And now I'm working on a GitHub Git workflow guide that will cover from start to finish how to contribute to a project. It came out of the fact that we added checks to the Learn repo. We added Travis to the Learn repo, and so people need to actually push code now and not push directly. Create pull requests. So, but it came out of that. But we've gotten this question before about CircuitPython. What's the best workflow? Well, I mean, the best workflow is the one that works for you, but that doesn't help if you don't know where to start. So what I'm going to do is actually walk through my workflow from start to finish, and I think it should be super helpful. Because I think a lot of people run into issues in the middle, or like someone was saying earlier about not understanding branches and just simple stuff like that we do every day, that people who are coming into this may not know how to do. So I think it's going to be a really great guide. But that's what I've been working on. Next on my list, I have a couple extra things. There's the Itsy Bitsy M4 guide just went live, and I'll be adding all of the essential stuff into that. I need to go through the essentials guide with the Itsy Bitsy M4 and make sure that all the code runs. That's pretty much a 99% likely thing, but we say that and then we find a bug.
Right.
So. And evidently there's the I2C guide that's out is far behind where we're at. And so eventually I'll be taking a look at that. As well, there was some very quick code written up for the Pixie LEDs.
Yep.
And I was asked to, and also we may be having someone else take a look at this too, to write up a quick library from that, basing it on the NeoPixel library, so we can use those with CircuitPython. So I may look into that. We may have Roy look into that, or anyone else who's interested. But that's also something that's on my list. But that one was more of a no rush, long-term thing. So for right now, the big thing is the guide, because at the moment, very specifically, there's a few people who probably can't contribute CircuitPython code to the Learn system,
right,
without understanding how to do this. So it's a pretty important thing, and I think we need to get it done quickly, or as quickly as possible. It's still probably going to be a week and a half, but that's my primary thing, other than whatever else comes up, like the code of conduct stuff, or if we come with any bugs and we need to work on them. Obviously that takes priority.
Awesome.
So yeah, depending on the timing today, we can do the code of conduct thing. We can discuss that later in the discussion section. But that's, I guess the other thing is that we got that at least to a state where we want to give people one more chance to review it, and so that's pretty much ready for that.
Yep.
Okay.
Perfect.
That's me.
Thank you. All right, Nis.
Hi. I've been working on my fourth this week. Fourth is another computer language, and kind of snooping around through the source code, and I'm blocking here. I'll just read what I wrote. Fourth for nearly all Adafruit SAMD21 and SAMD51 targets. Uses the compiler flags to differentiate between the boards. That really works well. In the Arduino IDE to pull in the correct support for each target board. The name of the upstream source is called Yafa ARM. Yet another fourth for the Arduino. He hasn't worked on it since 2012. Now with good support for every onboard LED, the dot star, the NeoPixel, and the red LED that's invariably on D13.
Right.
It's been a lot of fun combing through the schematics and the source to figure out the pins. That's like a big part of porting to a new controller.
Right.
I managed to get the Itsy Bitsy going like 24 hours. It was great.
That is
I
super
got
good.
it. Yeah, it was like got it like Tuesday and had it ready by Wednesday. There's a link there for the best version of the code. When I start using branches a little bit more cleverly, that'll be more reliable.
Okay.
And finally, I eavesdropped there on the GitHub and saw that it was possible to use QSPI flash ROM in an SPI mode. I think that's what I understood.
Yep.
And that opens up a few possibilities for me to do my own development on the SAM-D51.
Right.
So, can I ask a quick question on this?
Yeah, absolutely.
I took a look at the repository, and my one question was, how do you actually load this into the board? Is it done through the Arduino IDE, or?
Yeah, it's a standard. You can use the BOSAC if you want. I've done it on the command line, but it works just fine. It's a normal Arduino program. The way he wrote it was for the broad Arduino, I can't say that word,
Okay.
audience. And so it's a standard. It's basically a wrapper. It's not a true fourth, I wouldn't say.
Okay, I'll follow up separately with you. Thanks.
Okay.
All right, Noe. I know you're text only, but I'll read it off if you have anything. Working on a guide/video for LED glowing slime project this week. Next week will be a simple capacitive touch project using CircuitPython and MakeCode. Cool. Okay, Roy.
Just unmute myself here and see if this video uploads. It's part of a visual status update. So I finally got the Pixel Buff library to the point where I need some input from others and maybe a little bit of help.
Okay.
It now supports NeoPixel strips and pixels fully. PR is being sent against both CircuitPython and the CircuitPython NeoPixel library.
Mm-hmm.
The change for CircuitPython NeoPixel should be 100% able to operate without the CircuitPython support.
Mm-hmm.
And the performance increase seems to be between 5 and 10 times faster, depending on what you're doing. And I'm sure we can get more. The code itself is sufficient. I wouldn't say it's optimized yet. So I'm looking for anybody who's more familiar with CircuitPython or with microcontroller code and optimizations to go in there and tear it apart and make suggestions or even contribute to the code so that we can make animations faster and better, and we can actually free cycles up to do things like properly do some of the stuff that's available in FastLED. So we can have really fast color loops or control them or just free cycles up because, well, it's amazing. If you see in the video demo, you can see how slow the right-hand stick is compared to the left-hand stick.
Right.
And it's just all a CircuitPython running code and doing a bit of simple math, and that's what one would expect, but it's kind of impressive how different the speed is. I also do need a little bit of help with the structure of the code. The way I've done it doesn't seem to make it easy for me to disable it on boards it doesn't fit on, so the build is broken. And so that's my status update, and I'm looking forward to being able to give out hug reports next week for people helping me.
That's what they're for. Totally. Good. And one thing I did want to talk about in the discussion is whether we want to try to get this into 3.0 or just wait until for the next release for that. So think about that a little bit. Okay, and last but not least, we have STW and J.
Okay, so I finished up my work on the microflash and sent in pull request. There was like one minor issue that Nicholas wrote back about that I fixed, and then so now I'm just waiting to see if he accepts the rest of it.
Okay.
I have an idea of another thing to possibly change, but I'll have to figure out how to do it. I'd like to have like a multi-input mode where you can just say like, you know, uflash star.py and have it just do a bunch of things, but that might be a little complicated as it's the way it's currently written. It only takes a single file as input. So you could probably get it to use a single file glob, but it probably wouldn't work for a list of files. So I'd have to think about that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I talked to Nicholas about it. One idea I have is using the old trick. It's often used in Unix, where you have one program with multiple names, hard linked, and then it just behaves differently depending on argv0.
Right.
So I don't know. That might be one way to handle it.
Do you have a link to this?
Of my GitHub?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me.
For people who want to follow up with you on it.
Okay.
Nice. Right. Perfect. Any other comments on it?
That's it for now. Oh, I did. Ivar actually got around to starting on documentation for the plugins for Thonny, so I'll have to look at that and maybe start looking at the code he's already written for the CircuitPython Thonny plugin.
Okay. Awesome. Have you tried it?
No, not yet.
Okay. Well, report back when you do. I'm curious to see how it works.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, that is the status update section. Thank you all. And let's move on to discussion section / in the weeds. Take a time code. So first and foremost, I wanted to talk about cutting a release candidate today and branching 3x. And also specifically whether we want to... I propose we don't include the stuff that Roy's been doing, just so that we can get 3.0 out, and then we'll get the stuff that Roy's doing into whatever comes soon after that. Anybody have opinions on whether we should wait on the release candidate or not?
I was going to say, yeah, I don't think we should either. I strongly think that we need a fair bit of testing and verification of the acceleration of pixels.
Okay.
It's just too risky to add that there and have everybody saying, hey, it's broken.
Okay.
I see us like adding some more. We'll think of some more things to add to a 3.1 or something.
Yeah.
Probably. So just we have to consider it done at some point. Yeah.
Right. And then the other bits of it is that we're thinking more about what 4x will be, and I think we've got kind of two threads of work that we're going to be focused on, kind of with the foundation of updating to 1.9.4 from upstream. Dan's going to do that soon, and then Dan's going to take a look at the NRF 52840 work, and I'm going to take a little bit of look at that as well, but probably focus more on the gaming handheld. Because we will have hardware coming out in the future with that, and I want to make sure that the software is at least close to supporting that in the way that we want. So that's kind of our 4x plan. What I was thinking is that we should, as a community, we should all take a look at the we should all take a look at all the issues, and if you see something that you think is milestone, so something that should be included in 4x that's long term, or something that's included as 4x and we don't need for the next major release, drop a comment on the issue and suggest that it be moved. My plan is to actually go through and I'll probably just move things around. I tried to do the thing where we all like sit together and move them, but it's so painful to just go through the whole list. So I think what we should do instead is like, let's just all as a community take a look and chime in on the issues and just put our comments there and coordinate on an issue by issue basis. Jeff Epler says, is there a board with the 840 out there to purchase if you're interested in that aspect of 4X? Yeah, we just have all ordered the development kit from DigiKey. They have it. You have to make sure that there's a DK version and a preview development kit, and you want to make sure and get the DK version because it has the production version of the NRF 52840 on it versus the pre-production one. The pre-production ones had a pretty bad issues with USB, and so the production development kit does not. So that's like we've all ordered it to start working on it using that.
That should be a link to it.
Yeah.
I'll find the .ca link for those that are Canadian.
Apparently, it all comes from the same place. Right. Any comments about 4X or 3.0? No? Our violent agreement is so quiet. All right, let's move on. The other thing I have on the list is the Code of Conduct final review from Katni. Do you want to just cover that, Katni?
Sure. So the plan is to link the current. We have a pull request in because let me start over here. We put in we created a GitHub repo for the Code of Conduct because we wanted this to be transparent, we wanted it to be interactive, and we wanted everyone to have a chance to contribute or comment on what we're doing with our Code of Conduct. So we took what we had, which is currently the contributor covenant. It didn't really cover chat, and our Code of Conduct needs to. Mm-hmm. It also didn't entirely cover project spaces per se outside of like a digital part of the project. And that's another thing we wanted to do. So we merged that and some of the stuff that Rust had, because Rust has IRC, and then also added our own stuff to sort of create a code of conduct that we think matches what we want. We've had a couple people put in reviews on it, and a lot of that stuff has been integrated. So we obviously are happy to hear what anyone has to say. But the final plan is to post a link to the pull request into general chat, tag everyone, and then let the whole community have an opportunity to comment on it or submit any change requests or anything like that, which I mean, a lot of people may not understand how to do actual change requests, so that's why we wanted to be available for actual discussion.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of the plan with that. So that's why we want to make sure that it's at a time when we can actually be around on Discord for discussion about that. Right. So if anybody who's in this chat, I can grab a link to it right now. If anybody who's in this chat wants to submit change requests to it, we have a pull request for it. Make sure I got the right thing here. Yeah, here we go. That's where we're at with it at the moment.
Yeah, so basically before we switch everybody over to having to abide by it, I want to give everybody a heads up. So we'll do that and we'll say, hey, this is going to come in like a week. Make sure and give us the feedback. Otherwise, you're going to start being privy to it or subject to it.
So yeah, should be, I'll be interested to see what happens.
Yeah, I think it'll be good. I just don't want to surprise people. And I think it's fair for us to actually tell them that it's happening. Okay, any other discussion topics? We've been cruising through this meeting.
I have a completely random question.
Okay.
Which is that I'm trying to set up an overhead camera for a demo I'm going to give on Tuesday evening.
Yeah.
I want to have a web camera pointing down, and I'm trying to figure out what kind of stand to use to. It's a webcam that can focus itself. It's a pretty. But
I used it was like a $20 arm thing. I don't. It's designed, I think, to be used with like microphones, but they design them to use with webcams. Like they have a little camera thing on it, little camera like the nub that goes into a the webcam that I have has like an actual mount point on it, and that's what I used. Yes, thank you. It was tripod threading. It's because that's exactly what I did for all of my presentations so far. Is I've had a webcam pointing at the table, and had next to what I was doing, I've had it open in the corner, with like a live preview of whatever's going on the board.
that would be great if you could just send me if you know what you bought and you can.
Yeah,
I
will have. Yeah, I'll have to look it up. But then I can tell you, it was like a super cheap thing, but it clamps onto the table. And
Yeah,
it, like,
that's what I want.
moves
Exactly.
up and down. Yeah. Okay. Yep, I can totally look that up and send
Great,
it to you. That's
thank
why when you said that, I was like, oh, talk to me. I've totally done this.
Because I spend way too long Googling around in B&H and stuff. And it's like, and I really need it tomorrow, so I'm not going to, it's like something if I could get it from some local place, that would be good. But
Right.
I'll try something, yeah. Yeah, and I have a broken, Brent says I have a broken IKEA knockoff lamp, which maybe I'll take apart. But part of the reason it's broken is because it's crummy, so I'm not sure I want to use it. Yeah.
Might get you through one
At
presentation.
least it's a source of parts.
Yeah. And do you use an extra light? And Katni, do you use an extra light pointing? Like, do you just have
No.
a desk thing?
And I've been in fairly darkish rooms, and it hasn't really been a problem. Not to mention the fact that, I mean, half the time you're using LEDs.
Yeah, so it doesn't. It's self-illuminating. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
And it'll so it'll and find your focal point. That's the thing, the self-focusing, because I had a self-focusing one too, and there was like a certain point above the table where it would be more in focus than if it was like too far out or too close.
Mm-hmm.
So just like test that, like in your house, just test like about where it seems happiest. Oh, and it's also happier on a blank background. So bring like a piece of paper or a piece of poster, like a small piece of poster board or something with you, just in the event that the table is, I don't know, like has a pattern or something on it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Because if the camera sees more than just the table, it'll try to focus on like the distant stuff, and it gets all weird.
Right. Okay.
I was wondering if the cameras actually have facial recognition now, where you actually want to put like a picture of yourself next to it.
Well, I was just practicing. If I hold something up to my webcam, it does a pretty good job of focusing on the most interesting thing in the center. So
it's more like if it's like focused on the edge of the table and it can see something off the edge of the table, it'll kind of like try and focus on the table and then on the thing that it's like past it, and it'll go back and forth. This is all stuff that we ran into because the desk we had it set up on at home, like we ran into issues, and like that's slowly how we like narrowed down the best way to do this.
Mm-hmm.
I was on a Mac, and all I had to do was open up QuickTime and tell it that I was going to record a video, and then it would just open up a live preview. So I don't know how, like, what you have for a live preview, because I don't think you're using a Mac.
No, but I have a nice program in the.
Okay.
I found a program, GCVU View or something. Anyway, GCUV, which has manual focus adjustment and zoom and everything.
Oh, nice.
So I'm in good shape. Yeah.
All right, we're looking it up now. Oh, I think I got it.
All right, well, I think I'll wrap it up with that.
Can I ask one more question about the NRF 52840?
Yep.
Is it the DK or the ND that we should get?
ND is usually at the end of a digikey thing.
Okay, I was just a little confused because they're
Right.
the newer one.
Not
Okay,
the
the one that says new
PK.
product, and that's the one that says it's I'm still coming up with like 3 different versions of the board here. On the
Look
site.
at the link that I posted, so that
Okay.
that's a direct
Because
link.
the one that we got a long time ago is this replaces that one, right?
Right.
Right.
It might even look the same, but it has a newer version of the chip on it.
Right.
Right.
That chip is busted in a bunch. Like the USB doesn't work on that chip.
Yeah.
An earlier.
Okay. Oh, I see your link here. Okay, fine. I'll follow that one.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you,
All right.
everybody. I'll wrap it up. This has been the Adafruit CircuitPython Weekly for June 18th, 2018. If you want to join us on Discord at adafru.it/Discord. Hop in there, and we're always there. Chat with us. And if you want, this happens normally on Discord at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you.